All right, today we're gonna go through a massive 3 minutes now. I know, hold on to your panties, it's huge, but we're gonna get this semi-sharp knife into something that can actually slice this paper. All right, first of all, we'll take you through what you're gonna need. First, to remove the burrs right at the end of sharpening, piece of foam or an old towel. Something that I've learnt, depending on which way you sharpen, if you're doing it for a long time and it's a really blunt knife, something like a thimble. This thing's gonna save you taking the skin off your thumb. Said blunt knife. And we've got a dual grit Japanese whetstone, and today we're going with 1000 and a 6000 grit. So we're going to submerge the whetstone in water. So you can see those bubbles. When they stop after about 10-15 minutes, you're good to go. You've got us fully loaded, just like that, ready to rock and roll. This is the test victim, subject, and then we've got the scales, we've got the towel, there's the stone. That's all you're going to need. Now, to assist with the feeling of pressure you're going to put on the knife, you're going to aim for about 2 to 2.5 kilos. Use the scale. Completely optional, of course, but if you're just beginning and you're not too sure about the angle, and more importantly, keeping the consistency of the angle, something like this, which is a guide clip, that goes over the end of the knife. That goes at the end of the knife like so. When you lay it flat on the stone, it gives you the angle that you desire. A relatively sharp knife, we're going to start off with 1000 grit and then polish off at 6000. Now, if you're not using a guide clip, you can adjust the angle by going about 3/4 of the way up your thumb, obviously depending on the size of your thumb. 3 10-cent pieces or 3/4 is roughly about the same. Now, once you're happy with your angle height, you're going to take some nice slow strokes, trying to get that consistency before you start to really go hammer and tongs with the knife. Now, after a few minutes, you'll start to really progress through and you can feel yourself getting more consistent and maintaining that angle. Now, what I want to emphasize here, use all parts of the stone so you don't get uneven wear. All right, now let's move on to weight distribution. As you can see here, when you're pulling the knife back to yourself, that's when you put on your 2 to 2.5 kilos of pressure. Pushing away, very light, as I'm overemphasizing here, moving the hand. Now, depending on your hand position, as you can see, I'm already getting a hot spot, so you can eliminate this by using just the thimbles. Nice and simple. Now, even after a couple of minutes, you'll start to feel a slight burr on the edge that you've been sharpening on. And as you can see that black stuff, that's metal coming off. Now, be careful with this one, but this is how I tell if there's a burr, by running my nail down the edge of the knife. Now, let's get that tip sharpened. Now, it's going to be a slightly different movement at the tip. As you can see here, I'm sort of arcing the movement instead of just the backwards and forward strokes. We've now sharpened one side of the blade, and now we're going to remove the burr of that foam pad we mentioned previously. Exact same principle as before, nice and slow until you're happy with your angle. Cheeky sharpness test. Now let's move on to 6000. Let's polish this baby up. After equal time on both sides, we're ready to go. If you forget everything else, just maintain your angle. Nice and slow until you're confident.